Good evening, and welcome to Dan Bain's Sleepy Time Mumbles. I am Dan Bain, and every episode I improvise a low stakes podcast for you to fall asleep to. Friends, I am in approximately, let's say 2 months, about to embark on a major piece of work, and I appreciate that what I am generating will not be necessarily 100% aligned with what you have come into connection with me for. I understand that, and I appreciate that. Of course, any meaningful intersection between people is unique and to be appreciated, for sure. Nonetheless, I'm about to kind of begin a new phase of pushing things out into the world. And so if you have enjoyed Sleepy Time Mumbles, I would love to ask you a favour. And this favour comes with no huge ask of you or ongoing requirements, but it is simply this. If you happen to have an account on youtube.com, where the videos live. If you have an account on youtube.com, could I ask you, next time you happen to be on youtube.com, where the videos are, could I ask you to subscribe to my channel on that? I don't need you to watch anything. I understand that the majority of the stuff that I publish on that is different to why you may be here. But nonetheless, if you are one of the many millions of people who have accounts on youtube.com, could I ask you to subscribe to the channel I Am Dan Bain. I have some plots and some plans that I am hoping to execute over the next 8, 6, 10 months, and in order to do so, unfortunately, I need YouTube subscribers. I know many of you, your support of the channel is purely from the download perspective. I appreciate that. The numbers are great. thank you so much. If you do have the ability to do this, I would greatly appreciate it. It will be very useful, and as I said, of no cost to you. You can ignore everything that I output. I literally just need people to subscribe. Okay. Thank you. Nonetheless, that can wait. For now. Put down your phones. Turn off your screens. Close your eyes. Because now it's time to be mumbled to sleep. Season 6, Episode 5. Typical city routing. Friends, I'm not sure if you allow yourself to be worn down into the ruts of habit, but I certainly do. Whether that's the rituals that I go through before, let's say, performing a live show, or waking up in the morning, or even the wider the wider ranged across, say, a week. These are the things that I wish to achieve every week. These rituals, these patterns, these marks that we engrave upon the landscape of our lives. Tonight I wish to speak on these. Perhaps you don't have them. Maybe you are a fresh, whimsical creature, but I find that in my life I gain a certain comfort, perhaps, sense of purpose, sense of control. Maybe that is the best of ways to describe it. By specifying, by ritualizing the way that I move through the urban environment. What I'm saying is I have defined my routes, and sometimes that is for efficiency. I've worked out the quickest or best way to get from point A to point B, but sometimes it is not for efficiency. Sometimes it is for comfort, familiarity, a sense of safety, sometimes even. This evening, I'd like to talk you through some of my typical city routings. Now, a disclaimer. If you were a detective, you could probably use this information to encounter me. Please don't do that. Don't. If you want to encounter me, you can do that in a normal way. I have a job that kind of allows for encounters. Just approach me that way. Don't surprise me. But come on. That would be weird. To be like, I inferred from some information that you shared on your podcast that you would be here at this time. Like, how am I supposed to respond to that? Only negatively. So don't. I guess with great power comes great responsibility. And am I giving you, with great information, comes great responsibility? I don't know. Anyway, don't be weird. Probably the crux of it. Route 1, Central Bus Exchange. 2, Little Andromeda Fringe Theatre. A fairly regular route for me. Sometimes I will drive in to town, but more often than not, for matters of economy and ecology, I'll catch the bus. I'll arrive at door 12, I want to say, which is at the far end of the exchange, and from there I'll walk the length of the concourse. Occasionally I will exit via the side door if the inside is busy, but as a general rule I'll walk the length, going past the other gates and the service desk, etc. I recently chased a young woman through the bus exchange as she had, unbeknownst to her, dropped her sweatshirt. It had fallen off her bag, and either she had headphones on or anyway, I picked it up and chased her, and felt like, rather than being helpful, that I was a man chasing someone through the bus exchange. Anyway, once I've walked the length of the bus exchange, I'll come out and there is a street corner immediately there. The traffic lights there have a pedestrian exclusive round which enables you to cross on the diagonal, and I love to cross on the diagonal. Any chance to cross a four-way intersection diagonally as a pedestrian, well, I'm going to jump on that, I'll tell you. It feels more efficient. Whether it is or not, doesn't matter. So I cross diagonally. Now I walk past the mini supermarket on the corner, down past Valentine's department store. It's the back end of Valentine's, an organisation noted for its window displays. The ones on the back tend to be fairly low-key comparatively. Past that there is two Japanese restaurants kind of next to each other. I don't know if they're owned by the same people. That would kind of make sense. It's weird if they're in direct competition with each other. There's a little nook that I like to go through where there's a cut through that is created by the descending staircase building, or structure that houses the staircase from the parking building that is up above these two restaurants, and I like to go in again on the diagonal there. Now that's going to bring me to the Riverside Market outdoor car parking. I don't know why anyone ever attempts to get a car park in this car park. It's very small and very busy. It's very rare there are any unallocated spaces, but nonetheless people do try, and bless them for their optimism. Generally, again, I will cross diagonally over this car park unless I'm going directly to Andromeda, but that is very rare. Usually I will want to stop for something for breakfast or a coffee. So I'm going to come across the car park, past the Indian restaurant, past the nail salon, and there's the butcher's pie shop. Sometimes I will stop for a pie. Across from that there's a kind of a coffee nook in the wall. Sometimes I will stop there. Either way, I'm then going to go down the arcade that leads out to Cashel Mall, perhaps with a pie in hand, perhaps with a coffee in hand, perhaps with neither. If I have neither, it tends to mean I'm going to stop at Fuller Beans instead, which is in the cross through of the Westpac building. So sometimes I'll go there if I'm more interested in a croissant or a wrap. If I don't go through, so if I go through there, I'll then walk through that building and come out the other side. If I'm not going through there, I will not walk through, because that seems impolite, being a semi-regular customer, to just walk past and ignore them, especially while drinking someone else's coffee. Everyone knows that we all have our shared loyalties, but it seems rude to flaunt them in such a way. If I'm not going through Fuller Beans, I will go around past the Westpac and then turn in the laneway between that and the Nike shop, which will then take me through into the little square next to the brutalist time zone, perhaps one of Christchurch's most famous landmarks, at least in the modern internet. What if we kissed? What if we kissed by the brutalist time zone? Is of course the meme. Once I'm there, my tendency is to want to walk up the staircase that leads to King of Steak, the restaurant there. Sometimes I will be forced by circumstance to cross the piazza and go up the other staircase, but my preference tends to be to hook back and go up the King of Snake staircase. From there I just walk across the concourse past Roma, Botanic, Craft Embassy, of course, Armour Terrace, and then I arrive at Little Andromeda. Now once I'm in there, I'm going to want to turn my headphones off. I like to do this before I go through the door, so that when people say, "Hello Dan," when I arrive, I'm hearing that from the start. It seems less rude. And then I'll go and sit at my table. I tend to always sit at the same place, facing the same direction. Some days that's not possible, but usually it is, and usually I will default to that, and that is how I get from the bus exchange to Little Andromeda. Route 2, Barrington Mall car park to Fresh Choice supermarket. This is a pretty regular route for me. My preference when I park the car is to park in the bay that is immediately on your right when you enter the, what street is that? Athelton Terrace. When you come in the Athelton Terrace entrance, I like to turn hard right into the first bay. That's where I like to park. Anywhere along there. I'll go all the way to the other end, but that's my preference. Usually I get what I want in manners of car parking location. Sophie, can you please stop panting so loudly? I'm concerned it's becoming distracting. I usually get what I want in terms of car parking, unless it's what I think is probably pension day. I'm not too sure which day that actually is. It might be Tuesday, it might be Wednesday. I don't keep track of it. But irrespective of that, oftentimes when I go on this particular day, the car park will be rammed, and Barrington Mall and Fresh Choice Supermarket will also be rammed with the elderly. And that's the evidence that I'm using to say that day is pension day. All the old folks got their money. Time to go buy some groceries. From there I'll walk and go in through the main entrance. I like to walk on the right hand side of Mr. Minute as I go in. If I have to go on the other side, I don't like that so much. That's not the way I go. I'll go that way if I'm going to Mr. Minute, because that's where the service hatch of the kiosk is. Otherwise, I go on the back end, past the makimono sushi shop, the hairdresser, obviously, holds no interest for me. Sometimes I look in and I see them looking back at me, and they dismiss me with their eyes. What else? Then I go past the couches. Sometimes I'll pause at those if, say, for example, my shoelace is undone, or someone has messaged me as I've arrived and I need to attend to it. I'll sit on those and attend to it rather than wander around on my phone. Then I go into the supermarket. You know, just the normal way. Through the one-way spikes. And then I do my shopping. And then I come out. And I go back to the car. I go back to the car the same way I came in. There was Season 6, Episode 5, typical city routing. Sleepy Time Mumbles is produced by Noose Octopus, etc., etc. And it's created and hosted by me, Dan Payne. You can follow the show wherever shows are followable. And you can follow me wherever I am followable. And thanks to this episode, you can now follow me around Barrington Mall. Until next time. Good night. Sleep tight.